Hi everyone. Salesforce Development Day 15. What are we going to learn today? We'll quickly go through the previous session and we'll talk about the Apex language constructs and what are the data types and what is the primitive data types, how many primitive data types we have, and primitive data types integer. We will see anonymous window and how to use the anonymous window. What are the navigation steps to go for anonymous window, and primitive data type long, and we'll see primitive data type double, primitive data type decimal, differences between the decimal and double, and then we'll see the string primitive data type. In conclusion, quiz, homework, interview questions. Quickly, what did we learn last class?
Epic.
VF links, page layout, actions,
Visual proof buttons, update standard buttons,
VF
create new
manager,
button.
Button link, page layout, object
Action.
manager, Apex,
Apex,
features of
features of
Apex,
Apex.
features of Apex,
Apex, futures
how
of
does
Apex,
Apex work,
Advantages and disadvantages of Apex.
advantages and disadvantages of Apex.
Yes. And yesterday I gave one assignment, which is when we are creating the new button link, there is an option called list button. Did anybody try that? I gave the assignment of list button.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, others? I gave you the assignment to create a list button. Okay, is anybody have a issue on that list button?
Swapna, I created the button, but somehow if I try to delete that button after creating it, it's not allowing me to delete. So
First, you
that
need
was
to
the only
remove the
concern.
references.
Sorry?
First, you need to remove the references.
So references is only here, right? In the list view button layout. Anywhere else do I have to remove it from?
Yes, on the page layout.
The page layout, but the page layout is for the record, isn't it? At the record level.
Yeah, let's go ahead and create it. So right now I'm in the contact object. So what I'll do is I'll create a list button. Let's say contact button. So contact button, and I'm selecting the list button here. Content source is a Visualforce page, and I have only one page layout, one Visualforce page, which is referring to the standard controller equal to contact. So I'll choose the same and click on a save button. So as soon as the button is created, now here I can see where is this used. If you click on this button, where is this used, we will see all the references that is used here. Now I have created the button on the contact, which is contact button. Now this is a list button. List button, if I go to the same object page layout, I cannot see this button. I have created a button, list button on the contact, right? And if I go to the contact page layout, I will not be able to see the list button. List buttons does not appear on the same object. So can I see here button, contact button? I cannot see. Quick action, I cannot see. Mobile lightning action, I cannot see. So, right, so nowhere I can see that button here. Where do I need to update? If I create a list button, where do I need to update it? List buttons always displays as a related list. That means I need to go to the object where the contact is a related list. If I go to the contact, right? If I go to any of this contact, so any of this account, here I can see the related list contact. Now, what I'll do is I'll go to the page layout. I'll open the account layout. When I open the account layout, we have to go to the related list of the contact, related list. And here, do you see the buttons? These are the list buttons. Now, if I select the setup, now if I uncolumn and I'll remove the buttons, now I can see here, my button is here. Now I'll move it to the selected button and click on OK. And I'll click on Save. Now, wherever on the account record, the related list, what are the related list I have? The contacted related list is updated to display the contact button. If I click on this contact button, what will happen? It will be redirected to the Visual Force page. What are the Visual Force page I have? It will be redirected. List button does not appear on the same object page layout. It will appear in the related list. Now I wanted to remove the button. Now I wanted to remove the button. Before that, any questions on the list button?
Yes, Swapna. Can you just go in the object manager contact? Yes. What is this then? List view button layout?
This is a different list view button.
Okay. Because I added it here, so I thought it's here.
So this is basically, which I have explained already in the admin class. If I remove this new, that means when I go to the contact, we have a new button here, which is going to display us. Now, I do not want, client says that we do not want the new button from here.
Yeah.
So then what should we do is uncheck this, click on a save button, so that what will happen, it will be unchecked here. But also, it is showing us the button which we have created here. But instead of this, actual purpose is using into the related list. Go to the buttons link action, click on a new buttons or link. If you have any question, what is the list button? Click on this view example. What is the view example is showing? It is showing on the related list. It is showing on the related list. On the related list, if I wanted to add my list button, then the purpose of we will be creating the list button, we will be creating it. From the list view button also you can do it, but mostly we will use it in the related list. Now this is also displays. If you move on this, you can see this. And the contact button will be displayed on the contact object, not on the record level. It will be displayed on the contact object. Right, if I click on this button, it will take me to this Visual Force page. Now I wanted to delete the button. I'll go to the contact button and I'll click on delete. When I'm deleting it, it will not allow me to delete because it says that you have a references that needs to be removed. What are the references I have? I have the references in the list view account layout. So the first thing is that I need to remove it from the account layout. I need to remove it from the list view. So first let's go to the account layout. And in the related list, I'll just remove what are the button that I have added. I'll click on OK. And let's say also I'll remove it from the custom button. Click on save. Okay, so now the references is gone. Fine. I'll click on again the delete button. Are you sure you wanted to delete it? Yes, I wanted to delete. What are the list button which I have created? Everyone, is that clear? The list button.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's move on today. We are going to talk about the Apex language constructs. We'll see the data types. So basically Apex languages constructs have a different types. First one is a data type, variable, expressions, assignment statements, conditional statements, loops, and Salesforce object query language, Salesforce object search language, locking statements, transactional control, exceptional statement, DML. These are the Apex language construct. Now we will see what is the data types. Each one of them we will go through in our session. So today we are going to focus on data types. So we will see in our classes, further classes, we will see variables. What are the different ways we can create a variable? What are the different ways the expressions can be created? What is the assignment statement? How can we implement that? And the conditional statement, we will see loops, and a locking statement, Salesforce object query language, Salesforce object search language. We will see that transaction controller, what is it, how to use it, how to implement it, and exception statement. And then finally, DML. Everything we will see step by step. Today, our focus is on to the data types. So the first one is data types. Data type is nothing but any information is called data. That could be a information about the patient, information about the vehicle, information about the supermarket, anything. You are entering the information, any information is called as a data. So there are different type of data in Salesforce. There are different type of data in Salesforce. The first one is a primitive data type, and the second one S object data types. Third one, collection data types. And the fourth one is a enumeration data type, which is also called as enum. In other languages like a Java or C, we call it as a enum. Enum is nothing but enumeration data types. Now, out of these data types, today our focus is on the primitive data type. And then we will see the S object data types, collection data type. What are the different type of collection data types? How to use these collection data types in Apex? And then what is the S object data type? How to implement these data types in Apex? Everything we will see. Now the first one we are going to see is primitive data types. What are the primitive data types? First of all, what is a primitive data type? These primitive data types are predefined by the Apex language, and it is used to store simple values such as a number, string, and dates. And Apex provides these primitive data types to allow the developer to work with simple values in code. So by using the primitive data type, developer will be defining or declaring the numbers, or initializing the numbers, strings, dates, a different type of data types. By using the primitive data type, developer will be defining or assigning the value to the certain data types. And developer can use these data types to declare variables, perform operations, and manipulate data. In other words, in simple word, primitive data type is nothing but traditional data type available across the programming language. Whatever the program you write, whether you write Apex class, trigger, batch, or any class, any program you write it, any business logic, the traditional data type available across the programming language is called primitive data type. Now, primitive data types there are different type of primitive data types. The first one is an integer primitive data type, long primitive data type, double primitive data type, decimal primitive data type, date primitive data type, date time primitive data type, Boolean data primitive data type, string, and then finally ID. These are the 9 different primitive data type for the Apex. Like other languages also have an integer, long, double, decimal. Apex is also have a primitive data type, integer, long, double, decimal, date, date time, Boolean, string, and ID. Now, before move on, any questions on this? Data types, primitive data types. Okay, so first one, we will see the integer. Integer is used to store a number. Integer is used to store entire number. So syntax is, we have to specify the data type. Here the data type is integer and then variable name and the value. So the declaration syntax is data type, variable, and then value. So example, integer is a data type, variable name equal to num1, value equal to 10. Value equal to 10. And another example, integer num2 equal to 15. Every time whenever we are writing the syntax, it always ends with semicolon. And limit for the integer is whenever we write an integer, right? So the limit which it has, Apex has is, it has the values, what are the values that you are providing is, it should be between these numbers. So this is something 2,147,483,648. So around 2 billion. So it starts with minus 2 billion to plus 2 billion. So in between this, if any values that we are entering it, integer is able to handle. Whatever the value we give between this minus 2 billion to the plus 2 billion, it will accept the values and it will store the information in the database. Now, these are the minimum and the maximum value that can be stored in the integer data type. By using the integer primitive data type, developer can write the code that is efficient and easy to read, and developer can ensure the data is stored and manipulated in predictable manner. That means in proper, what are the conditions or what are the proper way is there, we can do it. Now, so this is the integer. Now, how can I declare integer is a data type? First, I need to write the data type, variable name, and equal to, I need to assign a value to the variable. Now, let's go to the developer console. Now, I'm into the developer console. Now, here is the question. Now, I understand primitive data type integer. Now, I know how to declare the integer primitive data type. Do I need to create a Apex class for testing my code? Is there any other way? Every time I cannot create a Apex class because I'm not yet ready. We are not yet ready to write a big program in the Apex. I just wanted to test these two lines. I just wanted to test if I give integer num1 equal to 10, integer num2 equal to 15, how the values it is taking, Apex is taking, how it is executing it, and how do I can print it. Is there any other way? Is there any other way instead of directly writing the Apex class? Because we don't know a lot of things to write a Apex class. We just need some temporary window where I can write 2 lines of code and I can execute it quickly and see what is the result. Is there anything? So there is a tool called in developer console, which is called anonymous window. The tool called anonymous window. So what is this anonymous window? Anonymous window is a tool, is available in the developer console. It is available in the developer console. So by using this tool, we can quickly write our code, test the code, and if I want, I can debug the code. And it is very much useful for the developers who are new to the Apex and Salesforce, or who are learning the Apex. This tool is going to useful for them, because before I start implementing it, I need to check what is the output of these two lines, or how it is executing, whether it is giving me the proper result or not. Everything I can verify in the anonymous window. And developer can run the Apex code snippet, like instead of writing the big code, I can take a small piece of code and run it in temporary window, so that if there are any issues, the window will throw the error and I can modify the code and execute it. So once I feel that okay, code is perfect in the anonymous window, I can take that piece of code and place it into the Apex class. So navigation steps to open the anonymous window is developer console, setup developer console. And this is how you will see, go to the debug. There is an option called click on debug. So when you click on this debug, there is a window gets open, and there we have a open execute anonymous window. So just click on this open execute anonymous window. So what will happen when you click on that? It will open a window which is a blank space like this. It will open. Now, if you observe this window will open on top of the developer console. On top of the developer console. On this window, if you observe, there are two buttons and one checkbox is there. Now here I have a execute button. What is this execute? Execute is nothing but if I write any logic, whatever I'm writing the logic here, whether it is a 10 lines of code, 2 lines of code, or 100 lines of code, if I wanted to execute 1 to 100 lines, all lines I wanted to execute, in that case, I'll simply click on a execute button. Whereas other one is execute highlighted button. Execute highlighted button is, for example, I have a code from 1 to, there is a here 100 line. So I have a code which is written 1 to 100, but I wanted to execute the line 1 to 50. I wanted to execute the line between the 1 to 50. So what I'll do, I'll just highlight this code. Instead of running the 100 lines of code, I'll just highlight it. And then I click on this execute highlighted. That means it will execute the logic which is highlighted by developer. Whatever the developer highlights the lines, only that particular logic gets executed by clicking on this execute highlighted. By clicking on execute highlighted. Now the third one is open log. Open log is nothing but if it is checked. Basically, what is the role of open log? Open log is nothing but whenever I'm executing, whether I'm clicking on execute button or execute highlight, either of button I'm clicking on it. When I click on it, I want a log to be open. Automatically a log to be open. Now, if I want a log to be open automatically, then in that case, just check this open log. Check this. If you check and run the code by clicking on the execute or by highlighting it, just click on the execute highlight. If you check this, what will happen after execution? It will automatically open the log. In case, if it is a unchecked, this is not checked. This is not checked. If it is not unchecked, then what will happen if I execute this? Whether I click on execute button or I click on execute highlight, it will not open the log. You have to manually open that log. Where the logs get sits, let's go ahead and see that. Now, here, if I have to open, click on a debug, click on open execute anonymous. When you open execute anonymous window, this is how your window will show at the first time, right? And this is the execute button. In case if you want to execute all the lines, click on execute. If you want to execute only certain lines, then highlight that lines and click on execute highlight. Then here open logs. When you check this open logs, the log gets open automatically. In case if I don't check it, then you have to, after executing it, you have to click on this log. You have to click on this log and there will be a record that gets created here, and double click on that log. It will be open. It will be open. So let's go ahead and write some two lines or 3 lines of code. For example, so far we have learned the primitive data type integer. Now for the integer declaration, how will I do? How to assign the value, how to declare the integer variables?
Integer variable executes.
Integer variable, I'll just give the num1 equal to 20.
Value.
Now here, it's a case insensitive. Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language, and it is a case insensitive. That means whether you write a capital, small, whatever you do, it works. Whatever you do, it works. Now I have given the integer num20, num1 equal to 20. Now this is the assigning the value to num1. What is happening? I am assigning this number to the num1. As soon as I click on execute, what happens in the database? In the database, there is a block, or there is some part, it will be allocated for num1. It will be allocated for num1 variable. Num1 is an integer. So here this block is allocated for integer. Now it will go and sits into the database saying that 20. Okay, we have initialized num1 equal to 20. It go and sits into the database. It will sits into the database. Now, but I wanted to know whether it is really storing in the database or not. I just wanted to print the data. If I wanted to print the data, what is the keyword that I need to use it? What is the line of code which I need to use it?
System.debug.
System.debug. Now here, I'll just keep that
Variable name.
value. So after writing, so here I'll be giving in the quotation, then plus variable name, num1.
Variable name.
Now what I'll do is I'll click on execute button because I wanted to execute both the lines. I wanted to execute all the lines here. So what I'll do is I'll click on execute. When I click on execute, the log will not open automatically because I have not checked this. So I'll just click on execute. Anything is getting opened here? No, it is not open. There is a record created at the bottom. If I double click this, then what will happen? I can see what is the value here, right? This is the, if I wanted to see only debug values, then check this debug. Check this debug only. So what will happen? It will tell you what is the debug value here. Whereas if I select this open log, what will happen? Click on execute now. It will automatically open the log. I need not to click on coming to the log here. Now, if I click on debug, it will show only the debug value, whatever I gave for the printing the value. So system.debug is nothing but I'm printing the variable value, or I'm printing the certain variable value. If I wanted to know what is the value stored in the variable, then in order to print that, we use a system.debug. Now this debug only option is, it is for the debug. Now here I have a filter. Filter is, for example, there is a lot of debug lines are created, but I'm only interested at num1. So what you can do is, you can write here, what are the value that you wanted to see? What are the variable value that you wanted to see? What are the variable value you wanted to see? Or if you wanted to know, let's assume that you wanted to know execute, right? EX. So whatever the execute is there, wherever the EX is matching the filter, it will give those lines. Whatever the word or a letter that you have entered in this log, if it is matching any of the row, it will give us that particular row. That is the filter. Now, whereas executable is the one which will give you what are the actual execution is happening. So there are three executions are happening. One is the starting of the code. When your code is started, it started. And then it printed the value and it is finished. Your execution lines are only this. There are a lot of lines are there here. There are a lot of lines are there, but actual execution lines are only 3. The rest all, what are those? These are some, it is automatically checks the limits, right? We have not seen the limit so far. So that's okay. So here, whatever is there, these all are limits. Now this frame is almost similar to the whatever you are seeing in the output. Basically, it will give everything. It will give everything. Is there anything that I'm missing here? This frame, user info, started, and then user debug, code unit finished, execution finished. If I check this, I can see here everything. Okay, so when we take a larger code, that time we can see the differences. It's not actually no difference right now. Okay, that's fine. So whenever we build the code using the Visualforce, or we'll see that time. Now this is the different options which are available. Now debug log is showing in the format of table, right? Columns and rows. This log is showing in the form of rows and columns. For example, you do not want in the form of rows and columns. So what you can do is, there is the option. There is an option called open log. This will just, here also we have some logs related, which is on the file. Open log is just, it will open the log. And the second one is open the raw log. That means I do not want to see in the rows and columns. I just need in the plain text kind of a notepad. In the notepad, what just display instead of rows and columns. Instead of rows and columns, just display on the notepad, on the raw page. And in case if you wanted to download the log, you can download it. If you wanted to download it, you can download it. As soon as it is downloaded, you can open that log. Whatever you are able to see here, same information will be available in the log also. So that's the same information how we are able to see. Even if you download this, will it be change anything if I download this format? Right, it will be same. So basically it will load into the text format. And in case if you wanted to delete all your logs, then we have an option called clear log panel. So what will happen if I click on clear log panel? It will clear all your logs. You cannot see here bottom, right? You cannot see anything at the bottom. It will not clear what are the pages are open. It will not clear that. It will just clear this log. What are the records are there in this log? It will just clear this. What are the open tabs are there? It will be same. It won't clear those. Fine. So what we have written so far, integer num1 equal to 20. Now integer num2 equal to, I'll give 30. Now I can do addition, multiplication or anything. So integer result equal to num1 plus num2. So every line, after the end of the every line, it will just put the semicolon. Semicolon is mandatory in case if I do not give semicolon. If I do not give semicolon, what will happen? If I click on execute, what is it is saying? Unexpected token result. Unexpected token result. So it has to be this. Now you said, okay, now integer num2 equal to 30. How about if I give a string value here? Will it accept the string value? Now I'll give the string value here. For example, name I'll give it, but I'll not give it in the quotation. Will it be accepted? It will say that it will think that as a variable. Now, how about if I give in the quotation? It will not accept it. Even in the quotation also, it will not accept. Illegal assignment from string to integer. You can assign minus values. You can assign minus values.
After I have given NUMB.
And ma'am, the second.
Yeah. So you can assign minus values also. So it will show what are the num1 minus num2. So it will give the value here 20. Fine. Any questions on the anonymous window and primitive data type integer?
Ma'am, I have to copy paste the already existed code to execute, ma'am. If you want to debug anything.
For example, you are writing the Apex class. And while writing the Apex class, you have written the 100 lines. But you have a question in 5th line to the 10th line. So what you can do is you can copy that line of code and paste it here. Make sure all the references are available. And then you can execute it, modify the code if it is showing any error.
Okay, ma'am.
And here execute highlight is, for example, I have a 4 lines. Now I wanted to execute only 2 lines. I wanted to execute only 2 lines. So I'm highlighting these 2 lines and I'm clicking on execute highlighted. So what will happen? This time I'll not see the debug value. I will not see because I have just run the first and second line. I did not run the 4th line. I did not run 4th line. In case if I want, so what you can do is, if you wanted to comment out, you can comment. These 2 slashes is a comment. So now I have commented the 3rd line. Now if I click on execute highlighted, what will happen? It will say that nothing is selected. Okay, either you select it and click on execute, or else if you wanted to execute without selecting anything. I just wanted to execute entire code. So just click on the execute. So this time we will see the debug. Okay, so let's move on to the long. Primitive data type long. Long is basically used to store the larger number values. When I say larger number, integer also storing the numbers. Now, what is the necessary to having the long? So just hold on it. So long is also holds the number. It is a big number. It stores the larger number. Syntax is data type variable equal to value. So example, long num3 equal to, I have given a large number, then I have mentioned L. Now, this L is required if you are mentioning more than 9 digits. In the long, when you are declaring the long number more than 9 digits, then you have to use L. Now, long is, the limit is for the integer. What is the limit? For the integer, what is the limit?
Minus
Minus 2
1
billion.
billion. 1
2
billion.
billion.
Minus 2
2 billion.
million to
Minus 2 billion to
million, 2 million.
Right, so that is a 2 billion. Here the limit is, for example, if you have any value which is more than 2 billion, that is a huge number. If you wanted to store huge number, integer cannot handle. If you wanted to store more than 2 billion value, integer does not handle. So that time we have to use the long. Long limit is something 9 quintillion. So it is a more 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillions, 36 billion, 854 million, right? It's a very big number. So 9 quality. So if you wanted to store the larger number where the integer cannot handle, that time we have to use the long. And the data type, if we use this data type, what it will happen, it will ensure that the value is stored within the range of the valid long value, right? Whatever the larger value is there, it will store improperly in the database. And by using the long primitive data type, developer can write the code that is efficient and easy to read, and developer can ensure the data is stored in manipulated and consistent, predictable manner. In proper way, we can store it into the database. Now let's go back to the developer console. Now, for example, right now I'll say that long num3 equal to, I'll just give some number here. Then I'll print this number again. Let's give num3 long data type value. Right? I have just mentioned the num3 equal to 34534, something number I have mentioned. Now, how many digits I have mentioned? I have mentioned the 5 digits. I have mentioned 5 digits. Now let's click on execute. Now let me execute only 6th and 7th line. I'll highlight this 6th and 7th. I'll click on execute highlighted one. It is taking the value. It is taking the value because the limit is -9 quilton, right? It is not greater than 2 billion. It is minus to plus. So whatever the number is there, it is qualifying it and it is taking. For example, if I give, this is the 5 digits and same 5 digits, I'll repeat it. Now right now we have a 10-digit number. Now I'll highlight this, click on execute, illegal integer. It is saying that illegal integer cannot handle. Now, if I say L, that means I'm intentionally telling the data, the system, this is a store it as a long, store it as a long. Now, if I mention L at the end of that, so what will happen? It will take the exact number. Now, if I do not give the L here, system still think that it's an integer. That means whenever it is storing into the data type, it still think that, okay, it's integer, right?
Ma'am, but
So we
but
are
we are
giving here,
defining
just
but
a
we are defining it as long, ma'am.
yes, just a second. Though we are giving here data type as a long, but system does not take that. System does not take. Now, if I give more numbers here, what happened? System does not understand this. In Apex, it does not understand that, okay, you are defining the data type long, but still I feel that it is an integer. When it is converting it, what will happen here? Whatever the code we write it, first what the system does, it will try to convert the whatever the numbers or whatever we have written here, everything it converts into the machine level language, right? In the binary format, what are the machine languages there, it will convert. While converting it, whenever it sees the number, it is by default, it is taking as a integer. While converting, by default, it is taking as a integer. But if I specify along with the number, if I specify this L, so when it is converting this entire thing to the machine level language, that time there is a end, the number is ending with L. That means I need to store it into the L. I need to store it into the L. So as soon as while converting the number to the machine level language, now it thinks that yes, this is a long. Until unless if you do not give the L, though we have given the data type, still it thinks that it is an integer. As soon as it says the number here in the Apex, it will think as an integer.
Ma'am, can we after declaration of integer, can we put L on the last in integer
Okay.
type?
Here you wanted to declare it. Let's run it.
Yeah.
Whatever the value you are assigning it, it should match with here. It's similar like if I say num2 equal to string, does system will accept here? The system will accept. Now what is
No.
happening here? I'm saying that integer num equal to long value. Integer num equal to long value.
Value.
It does not accept. Whereas long number equal to integer, if you give this integer value, it will accept. But for integer num equal to, if you give a long value, it does not accept.
Okay.
Now here by default it thinks that integer. So what you have to do is for converting this integer to long, you have to mention this at the end of the number, you have to mention L. Any questions? The members who are new to the programming language, who are new to the coding, any questions?
Ma'am, after debugging of system.debug, where we can see the output.
Okay, so once it is, let's execute this. Now I have executed, it is open. Now here you see there is a prefix with the debug. Wherever you see the debug, that is the output. Either or you can do that, or you can check this debug only. So what will happen? It will give you the debug and what is the value that you have entered. So let's open that. Now here num1 value, which line? Fourth line. So it is giving fourth line debug. And then we have a debug at seventh line, num3 long data type value. So seventh line debug num3 long data type value.
Okay.
Ma'am, in the system.debug, the plus is mandatory here. Otherwise, it is showing as a error.
Yeah. So for example, if I do not give a plus, so line 7, unexpected token. Only plus do I need to give, cannot I give the comma? Still it will not accept. Method does not exist, incorrect signature. Because Salesforce has implemented such a way that if you use plus, then only it will work.
Okay.
The functioning of the plus order is like concatenation.
Yes, concatenation, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on. So that is the long. Now let's move on to the next one, double. Double primitive data type. So double is used to store the floating point number with decimal places. Decimal places is nothing but which is a 3.14, 2.14, like that. So syntax is data type, variable name equal to value, and example double num1 equal to 3.14, double num2 equal to 1.41. Now, does this accept integer also? We'll see those scenarios, just hold on. So right now we are accepting only the floating points. It is used to store the floating point number. Now, double primitive data type is used to store floating point number with decimal places, right? And the data type allows the developers to perform mathematical operation. Mathematical operations such as a multiplication, decimal value, and addition, subtraction, and it provides some way to store the fractional value in the code. And the limit for the double primitive data type is around minus 1.79 E308 to 1.79 E308. It's a very long number. So this is a double. Now let's go ahead and see that. So this is an integer. And this is a long. And next one we are writing for the double. Now how to declare a double?
Double
Data type
number.
is
Double variable. Double
double.
variable name. Variable
one
name.
Let's give a currency equal to
Value. Floating value.
some value. Now I'll use system.debug. Double data type. Now I'll execute only this one. Click on execute the highlighted one. What happened? Currency. What? I gave the variable name as a currency, but it did not take. Why? Because there are some reserved keywords.
Keywords.
There are some reserved keywords, currency, not. These are the reserved keywords. If I use here time and currency and
No.
not, right? If I use debug, these are the reserved keywords. I cannot use those reserved keywords for the variable name. We cannot give the variable name as a reserved keywords. So instead of that, what I'll do is I'll just give the currency value. Click on highlight this, execute the highlighted one. Now we can see here num3 double data type value is 78.8765. Now for suppose, I'll just give a number. I'll just give a number. I'll not give a floating number or a decimal number. What will happen if I just give a number? Will it accept or not? What is happening? It is .0. It is automatically converting into the .0. It is automatically converting into the floating. It is automatically converting into the double data type. How about if I give a L here? Does it work?
No.
It will convert into the again 78.0. It will again convert into the 78.0. But how about if I give a string? Will it be able to convert that? This is a string.
It will
No, ma'am, it will not.
It will not. What is the value? It will give illegal assignment. Right? This is how we declare the double. In real time also declaration will be happen similarly, integer num2, integer num3, integer current value. But the value assignment we will not be doing it starting. It will be like this. In real time we will be declaring like this double currency value. We will not assign any value to it. But right now to understand, I'm just assigning a value to the variable. But in real time, we will not be assigning, most of the scenarios, we will not be assigning any value to the variable. We are just initialize, we will be just initializing it. Now let's move on. Next one is a decimal. Decimal used to store the precise decimal number. Precise decimal number. Now the syntax is, what is the syntax? What is the syntax for the
Decimal.
data type declaration?
Decimal.
Decimal.
Number.
Data type variable.
Variable name equal to value.
Data type
Data type.
variable name equal to value. Right? And the example is decimal num1 equal to 10.5. 10.5. Now, double is also we are giving the same floating point. Decimal is also I'm giving the same value. Hold on for that question. Now, decimal num1 equal to 10.5, we are declaring it. Now, the limit for this, right? The decimal primitive data type is used to store decimal values with a high degree of precision. And what are this data type is useful for financial calculations. What are the calculations we are doing it? For that, it is going to useful, and it provides a way to store the manipulate decimal value with a large number of digits after the decimal point. And the limit is -10. This is what you call, this is 10 power of 38.
10 to the power of.
Yeah, 10 power of 38 and plus 10 power of 38. Now here, precision, decimal numbers is nothing but accurate. Whatever you have given, exactly the same. It will be exactly the same number, and this is basically when you are doing the financial calculation using the floating or using the decimal, you are doing some calculation and you want the exact number, whatever the result is there, if you want exact number, then better to use the decimal. Better to use the decimal. Now let's go ahead and see the one example. Now this time, let's take one scenario. So let's write a program to calculate area of triangle. So I'm going to write the program for calculate the area of triangle. Usually area of triangle is nothing but base multiplication of height
Length.
Into 0.5.
0.5. This is the calculation. Now, how many variables do I need to declare it here for this?
2 man.
2 variables.
Base
I
and
need to
height.
declare. So decimal, I'll take a base equal to, let's take 100.56. Decimal, height equal to 95 point, let's take something to 1. And then I'll calculate decimal
Result.
area equal to 0.5
Into base and height.
height. Variable declaration always should start with a small letter. We should not start with capital letter. And then system.debug.
Ma'am, area spelling.
So this is decimal output. Plus the value. And what I'll do, I'll just highlight this, execute the highlighted one. Decimal output 4787.15880. Right, so we got the output. Now what I'll do is same logic, whatever the logic that I have written, same logic, I'll use it instead of a decimal, I'll use a double. I use double, whatever the primitive data type we have a double, I'll use the double. Now let me execute this. Execute the highlighted one. Do you see the differences right now? Do you see the differences? When I'm executing the decimal, what happened? There is a lot of delay. Lot of delay in getting the response. See, right now I got the response of decimal. Now if I execute the double, execute highlighted. So the response is immediate. And when you see the decimal output, it says after decimal, whatever the numbers, digits are there, it will give the exactly. Whereas the double, it will remove the if there are any zeros, right? If anything is there, then it will remove it. So first of all, 0 is fine. That is fine. 0, you can remove it. That should be fine. That's not an issue. But why do we have it two primitive data types? I'm doing it here the same. I'm doing it here the same. Now, how do I know that whether do I need to use the double or do I need to use the decimal? Anyway, both are at the end, it is giving the same value. For example, if I give 57, right? So both will be giving the same value, whether it might be decimal or a double. It takes a lot of time for the decimal to come out. Okay. So it is giving 63485. This is decimal. And let's see the double. Same value it is giving. Then what is the difference between the decimal and double? Developer cannot see any difference. Developer cannot see any difference between the decimal and double. But there is a lot of difference at the backend. From the database.com point of view, there is a lot of difference between the decimal and double. So decimal, the storage, the space, whatever the storage space is there, there is a lot difference between the decimal and double. When you take a decimal, the storage space, it's required a lot of storage space for the decimal. Though you are declaring small number, but the storage space is, it requires more storage space. Because whenever it is saving the data, whenever it is storing the value, it uses as a base 10. There is a concept called base 10 in the database.com, similar like a binary format. This base 10 require a lot of space. It requires lot of space. If you wanted to store single value, though you are declaring here, you are declaring just assume that you are declaring the decimal 95.21. It's a very small number, but it's required lot of space. Whereas a double requires very less space because it stores the value in the format binary. We have a binary format like a 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, some binary formats. So what are the value I'm assigning by using the data type called double? What will happen? It will store the value in the format of binary. So when we store after converting the data into the machine language, then it will store the data into the database.com in the format of binary. When we store in the format of binary, it's require very less space. It doesn't require more space. So storage space wise, decimal is huge and double is less. And coming to the performance. Performance is decimal data type is very slow. That means if you are writing a program, okay, you are writing a program to whenever the user is clicked on the button, whenever user is clicked on the button, assume that multiplication button. When they click on that button, first of all, to storing into the database, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and then it will return back to the response. So your performance will be very slow if you use the data type called decimal. if you use data type called decimal, your performance will be very slow. Right now, running in the developer console only, you can see that how much slow it is. Now, if I run this decimal, I'm just writing it 3 lines. I'm just writing 3 lines. And when I click on it, it's running, and then it is showing, right? So if it is a first time, it took a lot of time. If it is for the first time, it took a lot of time. Now, if I change the value here, decimal, I'll change the value here, 97. And let me execute this decimal, execute the highlighted. It's running and then it is executing. Whereas if I run the double, it doesn't take much time compared to others, it does not take much time. Now, performance wise, double is generally faster compared to the decimal, because what is the reason of slow and faster? Because the data is storing in the database.com. What are the data type double is there? It is storing in the format of binary. When it stores the data in the form of binary, receiving the data is also faster. But when you store the data in the term of base 10, in the form of base 10, what will happen? Storing into the database.com is slow, and retrieving the data from the database.com is also slow. Right? Some conversions needs to be happen. Machine language conversion or some kind of a formats needs to be updated. So these are the two major difference. For the developers, we will not see anything. For end users, we will not see anything. Probably performance we might see, right? But the logic execution, logic return value, what are the output is there, it is the same. It is same. But at the back end, the storage and the performance is a lot of difference when we use the data type decimal and double. So in general, if you want to choose decimal data type, go ahead and choose the decimal data type while declaring the variable. If you need to store the decimal value with high degree precision, that means within a very high, properly you wanted to store it into the database, then you can store it. But if you want to choose a double, you can choose the double. Double is mostly we use it for the mathematical operation because that will give the floating points value. Now, in another scenario is if you have a concern about the storage space. If you have a concern about the storage space, then better use the double data type. But you think that I don't care about the storage space or performance also, I don't care. Then go ahead and use the decimal data type. It's everything in the developer hand, what they wanted to choose. Any questions here? Now let's take another requirement. Now let's assume that we have a simple interest calculation. Which is PTR by 100. Right? Now what I'll do is integer P equal to 200, integer, I'll take here decimal. Yes, decimal T equal to, I'll take 10.4. Now double R equal to 78.9. Then finally, what will be the result? Result, should I take the integer? Result, should I take the decimal? Result, should I take the double?
Double.
Double.
Why double? Why not decimal?
Just to not impact the performance.
Performance
Mathematical perception.
Double equal to PTR by 100. Now system.debug. Simple interest calculation.
Swapna variable declaration.
Let's take a result. And let me execute it. We are using the all three different data types here while declaring it. Now click on highlight, execute. Variable does not exist PTR.
We have to
The
put
logic we have to do, we have multiplication.
P is small. Maybe.
Case insensitive. Apex is case insensitive. See how much time it is taking for the loading. Long running operation did not complete, continuing in the background. Because I have used the decimal, I have used the double, right? Now I got the output. See, it takes a lot of time. The performance, storage, takes a lot. So it is giving the 1641.12, right? It gives a lot of time. So sometimes you see this kind of issues. What are the issue that you have seen? It is running for the long. In real time also, when we are debugging the integration part or when we are debugging the long code, that time also we see this kind of a error. The first thing we need to check is that in that code, whoever is written the code, what is the declaration? One point we need to see is when they are declaring the variable, what are the data types that they have taken? What are the data types they have taken? They have taken the decimal, double, integer. What is that? So first reason is to cross verify the declaration of variable. Okay, any questions before I move on? And whoever is new to the programming language, any questions?
So which data type we should use for that case?
Sorry?
Like which data type should we use? Like we have used the double and it is taking long time. So if we use the decimal or integer, will it reduce the time or it will take the same processing time?
Double is a faster or slow performance?
And double is faster, but the variables we have declared in like for variable we have choose the different types, right? So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so right now I'm removing the decimal. I have taken the double. Let's execute. Compared to previous, right now it is better. I did not get that error message. So if anywhere in the code we are using the decimal, definitely the debug points will be taking the time and your performance will be low. Yeah, so first check what are the data types that they are using it.
Is there any case, ma'am, to use only decimal data type anywhere?
Mostly in the real time, most of the developers use a decimal. They don't use the double. Whatever the code that I have seen, everybody uses the decimal. Nobody uses the double. Decimal, fine. If you have writing the 10 lines of code or 20 lines of code, it is perfectly fine. But if you are writing the 100 lines of code for the API integration, especially, so in that case, if you take a decimal, then it will be a lot of delay on receiving the response or sending the request to the third party. So better start using the double instead of a decimal.
And here this double result and simple interest calculate is equals to result is there right now. So is any mandatory, like is any specifications to do right, like particulations here result and here result must both are same, like there any particulations are there, ma'am?
Are you talking about 36 line?
Yeah, 36 and 38. So result and here result, that should be same always.
This is this keyword.
Yeah,
You can write anything.
anything,
Yeah,
anything we can write.
double value.
Okay. Here plus result also double value.
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, double values will not impact any financial calculations, right? If you are doing a lot of ACV.
Yeah. It should not.
Okay.
Even decimal is taking more time. Also, they are using decimal data type only, not double. But double is better.
Because why we
performance.
are using the decimal data type is if I wanted to store the value with a high degree precision. So there is a certain formats or certain conditions will be applied whenever I'm storing the value, right? So if I wanted to store it with a high degree precision, that time we use the decimal.
Okay.
If you wanted to apply more conditions before saving the data into the database, for each value storing into the database also, there is a lot of conditions are applied before it's storing to the database. So if I want very high degree condition should be applied there, then we will use the decimal. But if you don't think that I do not need a high degree conditions, just check major conditions and then store the value, then go ahead and use the double.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, the next one is a string. String data type is used to store the text value such as a name or a product description. And syntax is data type variable name equal to value. Example, string first name equal to John. String last name equal to something else, right? So let's go ahead and see how to declare the string. Now let's see the string value. String data type. String first name equal to John. String last name equal to
Apna T is missing.
string. Okay. No, this is how we declare it. Anything you wanted to declare a text. Anything you wanted to declare a text, and do not use the double quotes. There is a difference between the using the double quotes and the single quotes. Whenever you are declaring the text, always use the single quotes. How you will be able to identify, you will be easily able to identify the color format gets changed. When it is a text, the format of the text gets changed. Now here you see I'm using the double quotes. It still think that some value there, but it is not a string. So always use single quotation and declare the value or declare the string. Now, for example, if I wanted to see the full name, string full name equal to first name plus I'll add a space. I'm doing the concatenation here. I'm doing the concatenation, first name, and then in between I added the space, then the last name. System.debug, string data type. And then I'm printing the full name. Highlight this, execute the highlighted. Right, John David. John David. Now, for example, if I say another string, I'll declare another string. String greetings equal to, I'll just say hello, concatenate with the full name. Concatenate with the full name. Now system.debug. Say greetings plus this variable and here. Now if I execute this, execute the highlighted one. So it says John David, string data type. Greetings is hello, John David. There is no space between the hello. So because we have not given anything here. So if you want any space between this, just put comma and space. Execute it. Right? Now you can add whatever the length is there, you can add. For example, if you wanted to know the length of this text, whatever the length of this text is there, I wanted to know the length of text. Then we have a condition, we have a certain predefined methods. For everything we have, for all the data types, we have a predefined methods. For string also, there is a predefined method. For example, you wanted to know the length of this greetings. You wanted to know the length of this, what are the text is there? The entire text length. What is the, how many numbers are there? Because we have a something called, what are the string variable is there? Variable dot, and then you can use length. Greetings dot length. So what I'll do is I'll print this length in the system.debug. So the length of the greetings. And after this also, if you wanted to add any character, just put a plus. Or if you wanted to add any text here, for example, I'll add characters. And then end this. So what I'm doing first, I have added some text concatenating with the variable, whatever the variable is there. And then I'm adding the method, predefined method. Every data type has a method, different method. String also has a method called length. Now this we will discuss anyway further, but right now It just came. So if I wanted to know the length of this particular string, then I'm using the greetings dot length. And then I'm adding the characters. So I'll just add a space here. Now let me execute this. "17 characters are there. Is it really 17 characters? Right, 17 characters are there. Right, what are the length of that particular string? If you wanted to know, it will give, you can use the predefined method called string dot, what is the string variable is there, use that variable dot length. Use that variable dot length. Any questions?
Can we use this dot length for like integer also?
Integer we will
So many.
discuss. Yeah, we will discuss. There are predefined methods for the every data type. So for now, let's focus on the string. I just gave some hint there.
Okay.
Any question before I move on?
Ma'am, in the system.debug,
Hmm.
the concatenation used, right? Without concatenation directly, can we give greetings.length method by removing all the characters?
You don't want this text?
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't want this text, just remove it and don't use the concatenation, directly print.
Okay. And the characters it is counting, including spaces and the comma also.
Yes. So right now, till here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, including comma, including spaces, special characters, everything it will add.
Okay.
Any confusion, whatever we have discussed. Today is the starting class of the Apex declaration. These are the basic, very basic level. Okay, so let's move on. Just hold on. Okay, so primitive data type, date. After that, we have something called primitive data type, date. So date used to store the date value. Date primitive data type is used to store the date value. For example, birthday date, event date, joining date, right? Whatever the dates are there, we can store it in the using the date primitive data type. So example, date DT1. Date DT1. Now, date primitive data type in Apex does not store the time. It will only handle the date. It does not handle the time. In case if you wanted time to be stored, then we have to use the different data type. Date data type is only it is going to store date. It does not store the time. Always it will give 00.000 colon 00 colon 00 colon. Always it's a 0000. It does not hold a specific time. Now, how can I declare the date? Now date DT1, right? So date DT1. This is the declaration. Perfect. Now, but how do I assign a value here? How do I assign? Do I need to take it like this? 09-02-2023. What will happen if I take this? And if I try to execute it? Execute. Illegal assignment from string to date. Illegal assignment from string to date. Okay, I'll remove this string. And I'll highlight this. Execute it. Illegal assignment from integer to date. Now, how will I assign a date? In Apex, in Salesforce Apex, how do we assign a date? Basically, we have a certain predefined methods in Salesforce, in Apex. For example, if you wanted to get today's date, okay? While we are writing the code, every time I'll not be changing the today's date, right? Today I'm writing the code. And if I give a hard-coded value here, for example, I have given today's date here. Assume that somehow I gave the hard-coded value today's date. Now, after moving to the production, who will be changing that today's date? We will not be every time editing the Apex class and moving it. That means every day I need to edit this class. Right? If I have to make a today's date, every day I need to put today is a 9th. Tomorrow, I have to come to this Apex class and I need to make a changes to 10. Instead of manual effort, we have a certain predefined methods. So in the date dot today. So today is, this is the predefined method. Today is predefined method. So date dot today, it will give you the today's date. If you want today's date, every day after exactly the 12 o'clock midnight, whenever it changes the time, immediately this will reflect. So that means, how do I assign it? So date DT1 equal to, I'll give date dot today. Now system.debug. Today's date. Plus DT1. Execute the highlighted one. What happened? Debug clear logs, debug Execute the highlighted one. Okay. It is giving 2023-2-9. Time is, it is giving 000:00:00, right? Any questions here?
Swapna, in Visual Force, we used to, we have the function called now for declaring date and time, I think, right?
Yes.
Can we?
So
Can we
now
use it?
also we will use it. So date.today is to get the today's date. Now there is another way to get the today's date is where we can use datetime.now. Now function is available only on the date time. Now function is available only on the date time, because now whenever we take a now function, whenever we take a now method, it will give date as well as the time. It will give both. But primitive data type will not handle the time. So what we have to take it, we have to take only from that now. Again, we have to capture the date. Again, we have to capture the date. So that means first you need to take it date and time. From that, convert again to the date. So date dt2 equal to date time dot. We have a now function here and then dot today. Click on execute highlighted, method does not exist, incorrect today. Date. Right? Either you take the now function from the date time and then from that get the today's date, only the date of from the time, because it will not be able to handle the time. It always take the 000. Okay, so for any question here on this date time, date today, we are yet to discuss another primitive data type called date time. But here what we are discussing about the date. Either you can take directly from the date dot today. If you want now function, you can use the date time and use the now function and get the date. Using this, you can take it.
Ma'am, this is only to display today's date. If we want to display some other date, is there any other function is there?
So we have something called custom date. Okay. For example, I know the date. I know the date, year, month. That means I know some 2022 month is a second month and day is a 20th. I know this date. Can I convert that into the date? I know year, month, day. So what I'll do is I'll use the date dot new instance. Here I have a 2022 month, assume second, and the day is 22nd. So let's execute the highlighted one. Variable does not exist, DT3.
Variable declaration.
So execute the highlighted one. right? It is converted into the, what are the standard format. For example, no, I don't know the date, but I know 30 days before. I know 20 days before. Yes, we can do that also. We can do basically, if you take date dot, there are many functions are there, right? Days, day of year, day between, day in month, format, is leap year, is same day, is month, new instance, today start month, today start to start of the week, value of year, right? The everything we can use it. We will be using all of this when we see actual date functionality. For now, how to initialize it, let's understand, because I don't want to go in depth right now. As we are moving on, then I'm going to show each one of this functionality, how to work, how it is working. For example, you need only month, then you can take a month. You need only year, you can take this year. Or you need a day, just a date I need it. So you can take dot day. For example, if you wanted to know the future date, right? Or future date, or you wanted to add a previous date. If you add 30, add days, 30. From today, I'm adding the days called 30, that is a future date. Adding 30 days. So what will be the date after 30 days? Execute. Non-static cannot be reference static date dot add this integer.
Swapna, we need to take today date, right? Today date dot add 30 days. Date dot to.
Yeah.
I do.
Execute the highlighted one. So from today, 30 days will be March 11th. I wanted to know the previous 30 days. Can I give here minus 30 days? January 10th, previous days. Right? So in real time, we will be playing sometimes with the dates whenever we wanted to add, like after 30 days, if like there is an opportunity is not yet moved to the qualified status. Now I wanted to identify on 30th day, the date came opportunity. For example, today it came the opportunity. After 30th day, that means on 31st day, I wanted to send an email. So in that case, you can use this. From today, wait for 30 days. If it is still like not yet qualified, nobody has changed the status to qualified. That means there is no discussion happening. Then I wanted to alert customer, it's been 30 days, you contacted us. Do you wanted to go further on this discussion, on this opportunity discussion? Right? I wanted to send an email after 30 days. So in those scenarios, we wanted to run this. We will be using this, or else there is a batch class. After every 30 days, I wanted to clear some records. From the date is created to the 30 days. That means whenever the record is created, for example, this record is created, the lead record is created. It is created on details created on 12/28 plus 30 days, add the 30 days. So whenever it reaches the 31st date from this day, okay, 31st days of from this day, as soon as it reached, I wanted to delete these records from the system. In those scenarios also, we will use that date dot today. We don't want to consider the time. Time anyway by default 000 will be there. Right? I don't want to consider the time. I just wanted to calculate the number of days. After these many days, I wanted to delete that record. So in that case, we will use. Okay, any questions on the date? Okay, so let's move on. Conclusion, what did we learn so far?
Types of data types, primitive data types in Apex. Integer,
limit, anonymous windows,
Apex language construct, data types,
Data type,
primitive data type,
data types,
integer,
integer, limit,
double, decimal,
anonymous
date,
window,
string,
double, decimal, long.
execute
long, double, decimal,
double, decimal,
difference between decimal and
string, and date.
date,
and
time.
date we have seen.
Date.
Right. Questions. What are the different types of data in Salesforce?
primitive data type, S object data type, collection data type,
Collection and enumeration.
data type.
Primitive S object collection enumeration data type. What is primitive data types?
Predefined or system data type.
Defined by the Apex language and are used to store simple values such as numbers, strings, and dates.
In another term, we say that traditional data type available across the programming language. What are different primitive data types?
Integer, long, double, decimal, date, date, point, boolean, string, ID.
Date, time, boolean, string, ID. What is the difference between the decimal and double?
Decimal
Decimal, it's
It has more
taking
storage
time
compared to double.
execution.
decimal
It's
can
taking
stores the data based in and double can stores the data in
Decimal data is slow type.
binary.
Double data
Double is faster compared to
is
decimal.
faster
Like-
than decimal.
It
Okay,
stores
storage
lots of
space, which one
results.
is high?
Space, decimal is
Double.
required more.
Decimal.
Storage type decimal.
More required to decimal.
Yeah. Okay. So homework, write a program to find area of cylinder. So basically we have a calculation A equal to 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R square. Pi you can convert, pi is 3.14 and here two variables you have to declare RH. So using this, just calculate the cylinder, area of cylinder. And next one is write a program to find surface area of cone. So surface area of cone is pi multiplication of R multiplication of S radius surface plus pi multiplication of radius multiplication of radius. And the third one is write a program to find area of circle. So 3.14 pi is nothing but 3.14 A equal to 3.14 into radius multiplication of radius. And the next one, write a program to find 5% tax on income. So taxable income equal to gross salary minus total deduction minus total exemption. So finally, 5% tax on income equal to taxable income multiplication of 5 by 100. So these are the 4 homework. And this is trial head. I'm bringing the trial head in chat. Okay, so we are done with the session. Any questions?